I just came back from watching the Monster High Katseye video that they just posted, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm thinking the same thing. Where the is Manon?
Like, I'm so tired of Manon being left out of Katseye.
I'm actually really annoyed because literally Katseye will breathe and then like, boom, it's more controversy. And then it literally always has something to do with Manon. Hello? Can we do something else?
Not trying to be problematic in what I'm about to say, I think every member of Katseye is incredibly talented, and I feel like they all bring something different to the table, which makes Katseye so amazing, right? I find it so fascinating that a lot of people got into Katseye because of Manon, and this is not me saying that any other member of the group is better. I'm just saying that it is so fascinating to me that a lot of people got into Katseye because of her, yet the company is treating her so bad. I'm not saying she needs to get the best treatment out of the group, but she needs to be treated like every other member. And
they're doing this shit on purpose. They're doing it on purpose. They knew people were gonna notice, and they knew people were gonna talk about it. This is negative press, and it's negative press on the head of Manon.
Why would you sit up here and go hang out with the person that basically said, one, that you don't deserve to be in the group, and two, denied your blackness and said that a brown person would have to hold it down for the black girls too? Girl.
So why do people want the Katseye members to literally hate each other? Am I missing something here? First of all, why does it always involve Manon? That's very strange. And why do you want the other members to hate her so badly? This has been an issue since literally Dream Academy came out.
Because I know people were bullying her and saying she got like lip filler or something. I'm like, girl, them lips been plumped.
In my humblest opinion, it seems y'all are trying to gaslight Manon's fans because they have every right to be worried and concerned and even frustrated.
This message is to Hybe XG. Is that what it's called? Hybe America, whatever. Girl, this is for you. Do y'all know that Iconville Twitter is on strike? Do y'all know that? We're on strike.
Wow. Hey, people.
My K-pop conspiracy theory is that companies intentionally mistreat one or two members of a group so that fans take notice of it and market the group by mentioning that member's name. For example, Manon's being mistreated, Junghyun's being mistreated, Yeon's being mistreated, which could be true and brings attention to the group.
There's a new position in K-pop, the rage bait. Girl groups are so back, and so is the chaos. The discourse around Manon in the last month felt like Fifth Harmony all over again. From lip filler accusations, to whispers of a falling out with Daniela, to rumors that she's slowly being iced out of the group. And the Yoonchae lightstick situation? Crazy. Things got so heated that Icons, Katseye's fanbase, went on strike. A literal Twitter strike, protesting her alleged mistreatment and exclusion from group promotions. Only, the strike ended within a week, and while the conversation has died down, the confusion didn't. I'm not gonna lie, some fans were doing the most. Did I cringe at some of the reaction videos? Absolutely. But did it come out of nowhere? Not at all. What we've witnessed was not just stan drama, it's the consequence of a strategy. I believe this moment is the inevitable result of a fandom that Hybe x Geffen helped create through an over-reliance on rage-bait marketing. Manon's official title in Katseye is the visual. But if you've been watching closely, that's clearly just one part of the role she's been assigned. Because the way Hybe x Geffen have been moving, Manon isn't just being framed as the face of the group, she's being positioned as the lightning rod, the controversy magnet. Some instances were subtle, others were practically screaming for attention. And honestly, as someone that follows Katseye closely, I've noticed that several members have taken their turn in the PR hot seat. Most of them went under radar, but no one has done it quite like Manon. She's been the most effective at generating conversation. We're living in an era of overstimulation. Attention spans are shrinking, timelines are relentless, and silence is the enemy of relevance. Brands, influencers, celebrities, and entire marketing teams have come to the same conclusion. Attention is the new currency. And controversy? That's the quickest way to cash in. Rage bait marketing works because it hijacks the algorithm and holds it hostage. Sabrina Carpenter's Man's Best Friend cover? Provocative enough to split TikTok in half, instantly making her album launch the conversation. Huda from Love Island, the so-called villain everyone hated, now has the most followers of any contestant this season. Sydney Sweeney's American Eagle may or may not have been dipped in 1930s eugenics propaganda aesthetics, but it worked. Everyone is talking about it. And suddenly, American Eagle isn't just back, it has rebranded. Like, how on earth is American Eagle relevant again? Even makeup brands have mastered this playbook. Release a non-inclusive shade range, weather the backlash, then relaunch, and have the same influencers who bash those products review it and have a redemption arc. That same strategy is showing up in Katseye, and Manon, intentionally or not, is at the center of it. She's the one people argue about, the one who trends when she's not even present. Her silence is dissected. Her absence becomes a story. Her face, her voice, her choices. Everything becomes content. And sure, that might be great for engagement. But what about the artist, the member, the person? Hi, I'm Carla Express. I talk about all things branding, marketing, and K-pop. And this is the Mischaracterization of Manon. Rage for reach. How Hybe and Geffen turn outrage into engagement. Manon's absence has become as visible as her presence. And that, I fear, is the point. In the Monster High x Katseye collaboration video posted to the group's TikTok and Instagram, each member introduced their custom doll and shared what it meant to them. Each member had a moment, except Manon. The video instantly went viral, not for the dolls, but for the missing girl. Thousands of comments flooded in. Where's Manon? Why was she left out? The backlash didn't stop at TikTok. On Hybe's official Monster High campaign site, all 5 other members were featured. Manon was nowhere to be found. What really drove people over the edge was the campaign director publicly admitting that the company had submitted every member's photos, except hers. Omission became confirmation. From there, fans began connecting dots. They pointed to a Glossier campaign photo where, despite Manon being out sick, the group shot posted to social media nearly blocked her face entirely. She's been missing from multiple TikToks. She was absent from the Gabriella performance video due to her sickness. In Debut, the group's first music video, she's consistently positioned in the back. None of these things on their own scream mistreatment. Put together, they definitely hint at a sinister situation. And to be clear, I don't think this is a grand conspiracy to remove Manon. I think it's something far more cynical. I think it's rage bait marketing. Rage bait marketing is a deliberate strategy that uses emotionally charged, controversial, or frustrating content to provoke outrage, and therefore attention. It's a descendant of clickbait, but nastier. While clickbait asks you to look, rage bait pushes you to react. As media scholar Zeynep Tufekci once noted, the most effective way to get attention online is to make people angry. And anger, as it turns out, is one of the most shareable emotions on the internet. Psychologists like Herbert A. Simon, who coined the concept of the attention economy, warned that a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. In a digital world oversaturated with content, outrage is the shortcut. It's the siren in the sea of noise. And for marketing teams, that outrage becomes a currency. Look at the data. The Monster High video on TikTok without Manon garnered over 11 million views. Her response video, where she barely says anything, has 9.8 million. The music video itself garnered 9.8 million views. Tweets dissecting the situation have racked up hundreds of thousands of likes. TikTokers who never cared about K-pop suddenly had content performing better than anything they'd posted all year. Even casual observers began weighing in, connecting Manon's absence to a broader cultural issue, the historical sidelining of Black girls and girl groups. The conversation grew beyond Katseye. It grew into a cultural flashpoint. Also, have you guys noticed that the moments that fans consider mistreatment happen most often around brand collaborations? The Glossier campaign, the Monster High collab, the Hybe feature. These are not messy behind-the-scenes errors. These are polished, reviewed, and signed-off corporate partnerships that go through multiple departments. These are not the places you accidentally forget someone, especially when that someone is the visual of your group. So what's the gain? Simple. Engagement. When Manon is excluded, people talk, people repost, people argue. And in doing so, they give visibility to a brand collab that otherwise might have flown under the radar. People who didn't care about the dolls visited the Monster High site just to confirm she's missing. People who didn't care about Katseye now know their names because of a perceived injustice. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Monster High ends up mass-producing the Katseye dolls after all the buzz. The engagement from that was massive. It's brilliant marketing. And before you call me a conspiracy theorist, look around. This is a strategy already used in film and media, casting black actors in originally white roles to spark predictable outrage, which then becomes a press cycle. Halle Bailey in The Little Mermaid is a perfect example. The amount of backlash that casting generated was insane. The discourse was viral and hijacked my entire TikTok page at the time, and still, the movie dominated the box office. Leah Jeffries as Annabeth in Percy Jackson is another example. Personally, I think the actresses were perfectly cast for the roles, but I can't shake the feeling that it also doubled as a sly little marketing move. At this point, mistreatment doesn't even carry the weight it used to in K-pop. Even if a company is restricting or sidelining a member, that doesn't always translate into real consequences for the group's brand. In fact, it often has the opposite effect. The more fans protest a member being mistreated, the more visibility the group as a whole receives. People repost clips, make tweets, start hashtags, flood comment sections, make explainers, create edits. That's engagement. And engagement equals value. And if you are a marketer, you understand that outrage is no longer a liability, but rather a growth hack. That's not to say mistreatment doesn't happen, or that every case of mistreatment is just a marketing ploy. There are countless examples of K-pop companies genuinely mishandling or neglecting their artists, often rooted in deeper issues like xenophobia or favoritism. Real harm exists, and it's important to recognize the difference between a media strategy and actual systemic mistreatment, though sometimes the two can overlap. But when it comes to Manon, I think Hybe x Geffen knew exactly what they were doing. She's the only black girl in the group, and the company knows exactly what that means. They understand the cultural weight she carries, and they're fully aware of how black women in girl groups have historically been treated. Just ask Normani. But instead of rewriting that narrative, they've leaned into it. They've weaponized the expectation of mistreatment as a marketing tool. The genius, though undeniably insidious, is that they don't even have to mistreat her outright. Manon occupies this strange liminal space where she's perceived by some as being favored by the company.
Who always gets the best outfits when filming?
I think Manon gets like the best clothes.
Yet simultaneously cast as a lightning rod for controversy, making any allegations of unfair treatment impossible to pin down. All they have to do is let things feel slightly off. Let the speculation simmer. Let fans do the rest. And isn't it crazy that all of this unfolded before their Lollapalooza debut, right? Right. In my opinion, Hybe and Geffen have an impeccable marketing team. In my previous videos, Katseye has a branding problem and Beautiful Chaos makes it impossible to ignore. Some of you thought I was taking shots at their team when I pointed out flaws in their strategy. But if you actually listened all the way through, you'd know I praised their team on multiple occasions. I acknowledge that they're doing an incredible job navigating Katseye's unique position in the K-pop meets pop landscape. I was simply offering ways to make the group's identity more unmistakable. Beyond the girl's talent, personality, star power, and magnetism, one of the biggest reasons Katseye has been able to achieve this level of success so quickly is the work of their marketing team. They get the truth that we don't like to admit. People love drama. We pretend we don't, that we're above it. But time and time again, we flock to wherever the drama is. I don't doubt for a second that Manon was genuinely absent because she was sick in those instances. Let me repeat that. I have zero doubt, none, that her absence was due to illness. With the kind of intense schedule the girls have, and have openly talked about, there's simply no way they wouldn't get sick or have to miss a schedule at some point.
Give us a glimpse into what rehearsal looks like. How many hours are you spending?
For the most part, it could be 4 to 8 hours of rehearsal.
Sometimes more.
For the most part, we have rehearsal every single day, including our weekends, so we're always grinding.
How many hours of sleep do you guys, would you say?
What I'll say is I slept 3 hours last night and so did she.
So then we're gonna get glam at 7:30 a.m. Lobby call time is 9 a.m. Photos, then media starts. Oh my god. And then 12 a.m. we have a wake up call. Fire.
Wait, we have to wake up at like 7,
get back in there.
like 6:37 every day. When does your day end? Probably like 8. It ends at like okay, on a regular day it'll end at like 9.
I think it's most
days. And then on like if we're like doing something like if it's not just rehearsal it'll end maybe like 11. And then in Korea it's like our call time will be like 11 p.m. and then we'll work till the next day at like what do you mean?
Work like at worth it staying up until 4.
And while I believe there should be conversations about making those schedules healthier, the reality is that when you have momentum, you use it. You build on it. And I'm sure the girls, given their ambitions, understand that. I also don't doubt that sometimes the girls argue or clash. They're from different parts of the world, with different identities, values, and upbringings, and they spend countless hours together under public scrutiny. Of course, there will be moments of tension. They're each still learning about one another's realities, cultural contexts, and boundaries. Personally, I think we need to give them grace for that. But what makes Hybe x Geffen brilliant is that they are strategic enough to turn almost any moment into an opportunity to promote the group. Every opportunity for buzz is maximized, from Popstar Academy, which introduced Manon as uncommitted but talented, to the rollout of Gnarly, their most controversial song to date. Intentional narrative crafting or clever opportunism, people cannot stop talking about Katseye. The trade-off? Sometimes in chasing virality, they risk prioritizing clicks over clarity. To be clear, I like Gnarly. I think it has artistic merit, but I also think it was chosen because it was jarring. Because Hybe x Geffen understood the shock value it would carry, especially coming from this group. It was chosen as a marketing tactic to make a statement. And it worked. This strategy, provoking with the art and then leaning on the safety net of art is subjective, isn't new. A lot of artists are doing it now. They know people will either defend the work as bold or critique it as tasteless, but either way, they'll be engaged. More artists are becoming very comfortable with using rage baiting as a marketing tactic. It's low-risk controversy with high-reward discourse. And I think the same logic is being applied to group dynamics. More and more, we're seeing K-pop groups where 1 or 2 members become the center of mistreatment allegations. It is becoming obvious that the people behind the scenes know that the perception of mistreatment brings more visibility in a way that a clean, drama-free rollout ever could. The choreography in Katseye's debut video followed a similar formula. People debated why Manon was in the back. Many fans wrote it off as skill level, but Manon was perfectly in sync. The video was reviewed by too many people, passed through too many hands, for no one to notice the optics of the black member being at the back. At some point, someone had to say, this could cause backlash, and instead of changing it, they kept it. Or worse, they planned it. This trend became impossible to ignore during the MAMA Awards. Manon missed the performance due to illness, a fact that was publicly announced. And yet, Hybe chose to release the performance video without her first, allowing criticism and speculation to build. It wasn't until a month later that footage was shared showing her rehearsing with the group. The same thing happened with the Gabriella performance video. Backlash erupted, only for a behind-the-scenes clip to surface 3 weeks later, showing Manon supporting the girls during the shoot. Injured, yes, but present. That same clip also showed her being friendly with Daniela, undercutting the entire feud narrative that had spiraled online. So why wait? Why withhold clips that could shut down the backlash early? Because backlash builds momentum. In both cases, the delayed release functioned as a second wave of engagement, a second round of commentary, a second viral moment. You let the audience feel rage. You let the argument spread. Engagement skyrocket, And then you drop the redemption footage. Hybe and Geffen are not stupid. These are billion-dollar companies with full teams dedicated to brand strategy, digital engagement, and social listening. They see the same discourse we do. They know the optics. They're just choosing to let them play out, for reach. And it's working. Whether you believe Manon is being mistreated or not, you were tuned in to that discourse. You drove engagement by watching, tweeting, and commenting on those videos. As someone who loves branding, marketing, and strategy, I can't help but admire the cunningness of it all. It's manipulative. It's risky, but it's smart. However, as someone who also cares about artists, it can be exhausting to watch. Because no matter how effective this strategy is in terms of reach and clicks, there's a human being at the center of it. A girl who shows up, trains, performs, smiles through interviews, and still has to watch people debate whether she belongs. That's not sustainable. That's not fair. Rage bait marketing works, but at what cost?
Yes!